All right, get ready, because this deep dive, we're tackling some heavy hitters.
Yeah, this one's a doozy.
Aristotle, Rumi, and Marcus Aurelius.
That's quite a lineup.
Talk about a philosophical all-star team, but don't
Yeah.
worry, we're not going to get all, like, heady and theoretical.
Yeah, right.
We're going to bring it back down to earth.
Absolutely.
You wanted to know how to actually apply their wisdom, right?
That's the goal.
So that's exactly what we're going to do.
Let's get practical.
Yeah. So to kick things off, maybe with the idea that's most likely to make someone go, wait, what?
How about this? You know how we usually think of happiness as this like constant state of feeling good?
Yeah.
Well, Aristotle had a completely different perspective.
Oh, really?
He called it eudaimonia.
Eudaimonia.
And it's not just about, chasing those fleeting pleasures.
Okay, so not just a temporary sugar high of happiness.
Exactly.
Okay.
Aristotle thought real happiness, like deep down happiness, comes from living a virtuous life, like from actually cultivating qualities like courage, wisdom, generosity.
So it's about who you are.
Yeah, it's about flourishing as a human being.
Okay. And how do we do that? Like, how do we cultivate those virtues?
Well, he had this really interesting concept called the golden mean, which is basically like finding that sweet spot between extremes.
So not too much.
Yeah.
Not too little.
Exactly. So for example, like courage, right?
Huh?
It's that balance point between recklessness, just doing crazy things without thinking.
Yeah.
And cowardice,
Okay.
right? You don't want to be frozen by fear.
Right.
But you also don't want to be, jumping out of airplanes without a parachute.
Right.
It's about finding that balance.
So where does that golden mean idea play out in our everyday life?
Well, think about it this way.
Yep.
Let's say you're constantly working, like pushing yourself to the limit, but you're totally neglecting your health and your relationships are suffering.
Been there.
Right. That's out of balance, right?
Yeah.
Or, maybe you're at the other extreme.
Yeah.
You're indulging in every pleasure.
Yeah.
You're putting off all your responsibilities. You're just not challenging yourself at all.
Yeah. Aristotle would probably have a field day with me, honestly.
Yeah, he might. But, the point is,
Yeah.
his ideas can actually help us
Okay.
see where we might be, like a little off kilter in our lives.
Yeah.
And how aiming for that balance, in all these different areas
Right.
could lead to more of that deeper happiness, that eudaimonia.
Eudaimonia. Oh. All right. So Aristotle's all about, virtue and balance.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Rumi, our poet and mystic.
Okay, Rumi.
Whenever I read his quotes, it's like they totally bypass my brain and go straight to my heart.
His words have that effect.
They do. They really do. And one of his most powerful teachings, I think, is about embracing change. He said, "This being human is a guest house. Every morning is a new arrival."
Beautiful quote.
It is a beautiful quote. It's about seeing life as this like constant flow,
Yeah.
not resisting all the ups and downs.
Acceptance. Right?
Yeah. I feel like that's so relevant today. Everything's changing so quickly. It's so easy to get caught up in like resisting what we can't control.
Absolutely.
And it's exhausting.
It is. It's draining.
So what's the alternative?
Well, Rumi suggests that
Okay.
instead of just accepting change, we should actually welcome it.
Welcome it.
See it as an opportunity
Oh, wow.
for growth and transformation.
Okay, that's a very different way of looking at
It
it.
is. It's a shift in perspective.
I love that. So like instead of getting stuck in that resistance mode,
Yeah.
we can actually use those challenges to like fuel our purpose and, move us forward.
Absolutely.
Pretty inspiring, right?
Very inspiring.
And even if we're not facing these like world-altering challenges like some people are, that same principle can apply to our own lives. Right?
Absolutely.
Think about a time when you went through a major change. Like, did you resist it kicking and screaming?
Yeah.
Or did you eventually find a way to adapt and even grow from it?
That's a good question to ask yourself.
It is.
It really
It
is.
makes me think about so we've got Aristotle with his focus on virtue and balance, and Rumi with his, embrace of change and finding that opportunity within it.
Right. Two very different perspectives.
It is, yeah. My mind is already swirling with ideas.
That's what these deep dives are all about.
It is, yeah.
It's about really exploring these ideas and seeing how they connect, how they kind of,
They do, they
play
connect.
off each other.
Yeah, and speaking of connecting,
Okay.
I think it's time to bring in our a Roman emperor philosopher, Marcus Aurelius.
Ah, Marcus Aurelius.
He's got this this whole Stoic philosophy thing going on, right? Can you break that down for us a little bit? What is Stoicism all about?
Well, I mean, the Stoicism at its core is really about recognizing what you can and can't control in life.
Okay.
It's about focusing your energy on your thoughts, your actions, your reactions, the things you actually have power over, and then learning to let go of everything else.
So like the weather, other people's opinions.
Exactly.
Whether or not your favorite team wins the game.
All those things that we tend to get so worked up about.
Right.
But ultimately have no control over.
So basically not stressing about things you can't change.
Yeah, I mean, that's the idea in a nutshell, but...
Easier said than done, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But the Stoics, they weren't just, spouting platitudes. They had these really practical techniques for dealing with the inevitable ups and downs of life.
So give us an example, like how would a Stoic approach a stressful situation?
Okay, so let's say you're stuck in traffic, right?
Yeah.
And you're totally stressed out, you're late for a meeting.
Happens all the time.
Right. A Stoic in that situation might, first of all, just take a deep breath.
Okay.
Acknowledge the frustration, right? Like, okay, I'm feeling stressed right now.
Right.
But then remind themselves, I can't control the traffic. So instead of fuming and getting all worked up, they might choose to, listen to a podcast, enjoy the scenery, or even just, practice being present in the moment.
Okay, so it's about like shifting your perspective.
Yeah.
And choosing how you respond.
Exactly.
Rather than just like reacting emotionally.
Exactly, yeah.
That's a very different approach than like my usual road rage.
I think we all have a little bit of road rage in us.
We do, we do.
But yeah, it's about that shift in perspective.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So we've talked about focusing on what we can control.
Right.
What about all the things we can't control?
Well, that leads us to another really key Stoic principle, and that's, the awareness of our own impermanence.
Okay.
Marcus Aurelius had this really famous quote.
Okay.
He said, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think."
Okay, that sounds a little bit morbid, maybe at first glance.
Yeah, it can be interpreted that way, but it's not meant to be depressing.
Okay.
It's actually meant to be a call to action.
Oh.
Because knowing that our time is finite, it can really inspire us
to what?
To focus on what truly matters, to let go of all those petty conflicts, to live with intention.
Wow, that really hits home. It's like, a reminder to stop sweating the small stuff and just make the most of each moment.
Exactly, exactly.
But, I got to ask, how do we actually apply these, like, big philosophical ideas, to our everyday lives? It can feel a little overwhelming, honestly.
It can be, yeah. It's not about, suddenly becoming a perfect Stoic.
Right.
Or a Rumi quoting mystic.
Right.
It's about taking these insights as inspiration and finding small ways to kind of integrate them into your life.
So like baby steps.
Baby steps, yeah.
Progress, not perfection.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So what's a good, first step? Like, where do we even begin?
Well, I think one of the most powerful tools we have for personal growth is actually something we haven't really talked about yet.
Okay, what's that?
And that's community.
Oh, community.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are social creatures by nature.
Oh, yeah.
And we thrive on connection and support.
Right.
And when you surround yourself with people who are also interested in personal growth, who are also trying to, live a more meaningful life, it creates this incredible positive feedback loop.
Oh, my God.
You inspire each other, you hold each other accountable, you celebrate each other's successes.
It's like having, a support system for your personal growth journey.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So what does that look like in practice?
Well, I mean, it could be as simple as, a group of friends who get together to discuss these ideas.
Okay.
Maybe a book club.
Right.
That dives into some philosophical texts.
Okay.
Or even, just finding online communities where people are sharing similar interests.
Yeah, there's so many resources out there now.
There are.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like we're all kind of, on this journey together.
We are.
Even though we might be in different places physically.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together now. We've got the wisdom of these great thinkers.
Right.
We've got the tools for actually applying their ideas.
Right.
And then we've got the power of community to support us along the way.
It's a beautiful synergy.
It is, yeah. But, there's still a part of me that wonders, is all this self-improvement stuff really necessary?
It's a good question.
Can't we just live our lives and be happy without all this introspection and effort?
Yeah, it's a valid question.
It is.
And I think There's no one-size-fits-all answer.
Right.
Some people, they naturally find fulfillment and happiness without actively, pursuing personal growth.
Okay.
But for a lot of us, it's an essential part of living a truly meaningful life.
So it's not about, like, reaching some, perfect state of enlightenment or anything. It's more about the journey itself.
Exactly. It's about the process.
Okay.
It's about becoming more aware, more intentional, more connected to ourselves and the world around us.
And hey, maybe along the way, we achieve a little bit of that eudaimonia that Aristotle was talking about.
That's the hope, right?
It is. Okay, I love that. It's not about the destination, but about who we become along the way.
Beautifully said.
And speaking of becoming,
Okay.
I think there's one more, essential ingredient we need to add to the mix here.
All right, I'm intrigued.
And that's self-compassion.
Ah, self-compassion. Yes.
So important.
Absolutely crucial.
Because we can't really, grow and transform if we're constantly beating ourselves up.
Right, we need to be on our own side.
We do.
Yeah.
So how do we cultivate self-compassion? Where do we even start?
Well, I think it starts with awareness.
Okay.
Just noticing when you're being critical of yourself.
Okay.
And then trying to identify, what are the specific thoughts that are fueling that self-criticism.
Yeah.
And then once you've kind of identified those thoughts,
Okay.
you can start to challenge them.
Challenge them how?
Well, ask yourself, is this thought actually true? Is it helpful? Would I say this to a friend?
Oh, that's such a good point.
Right. We're often so much harder on ourselves than we would ever be on someone else.
We are, yeah.
So it's about bringing that same level of kindness and understanding to ourselves.
Okay, so awareness is the first step,
Mm-hmm.
and then what? What do we do once we've identified those negative thoughts?
Well, that's where practices like affirmations and positive self-talk can come in, because by consciously choosing to focus on our strengths, our accomplishments, the things we're grateful for, we can actually start to rewire our brains.
Oh, wow.
For more positivity and self-compassion.
So we're literally changing the way our brains work.
In a way, yeah. It's like we're giving our inner critic a makeover.
I love that, a makeover.
Right, and replacing it with this more supportive, encouraging voice.
Okay, so it sounds like we're, training our minds to be more kind and understanding towards ourselves.
Exactly.
So, all this sounds like a lot of work.
It does take effort, but remember, it's a journey, not a destination.
Okay.
There are going to be times when you fall back into old patterns, when you get swept away by your emotions, when you forget to be mindful or self-compassionate.
Okay.
And that's okay. It's all part of the process.
So it's not about being perfect.
No.
It's about being consistent, persistent.
Exactly. It's about showing up for yourself each day.
Okay.
And making that conscious effort to align your thoughts, your actions, your values with the wisdom of these great thinkers.
So we've got awareness, we've got action, mindfulness or journaling, community, and self-compassion.
That's quite a toolkit.
It is. It's a pretty solid toolkit for putting these ancient wisdom teachings into practice.
It is, yeah.
But what's amazing to me
What's that?
is that even though these ideas, they've been around for centuries, right?
Yeah.
They're just as relevant today as they were, back then.
That's what makes this exploration so fascinating.
It is.
And rewarding, It's not about blindly following every word.
Right.
It's about taking their wisdom as a starting point.
Okay.
And finding your own way.
Your own unique way.
Your own unique way to apply it.
I love that.
And
It's like, they're giving us a map,
yeah.
but we get to choose our own adventure.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said.
And speaking of adventures,
Okay.
are you ready for a little twist?
I think so. Hit me.
Let's explore the intersection of ancient wisdom and modern science.
Ooh, now we're talking.
Wait, are you telling me that science is actually, backing up some of this ancient wisdom?
You better believe it, but we're going to have to save that fascinating discussion for the final part of our deep dive.
Right.
Stay tuned, folks, because things are about to get even more interesting.
Okay, so we're back, and I'm ready for you to blow my mind.
All right, let's do it.
You're really saying that science is backing up some of these, ancient ideas?
It is pretty amazing, right?
It is, yeah. I mean, for centuries, we've always thought of philosophy and science as these totally separate things.
Right, totally different domains.
Yeah.
But what's so fascinating is that we're starting to see them converge.
Oh, wow.
In some really interesting ways.
Okay, so give me an example.
Okay.
So
yeah.
How is science validating these ancient thinkers?
Well, let's take Aristotle, for instance. He was all about virtue, right? Living in accordance with our nature, striving for that golden mean.
Right, right.
For a long time, that was seen as just, a purely philosophical concept.
Yeah, like a nice idea, but not something you could actually, prove scientifically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then this field of, positive psychology came along.
Okay.
And researchers started studying things like gratitude, kindness, forgiveness, all those virtues that Aristotle was talking about.
And what did they find?
Well, they found that people who actively practice these virtues are actually measurably happier.
Last, really?
Yeah, they have lower stress levels, they have stronger immune systems.
Wow.
They even report, feeling more connected to others.
So science is actually showing that, being good is good for you.
It really is.
Aristotle would be so proud right now.
I think he would be.
Okay, so what about Rumi?
Okay.
All that talk about love and connection, is there any scientific basis for that?
Neuroscience is actually revealing that connection and belonging aren't just these, warm, fuzzy feelings.
Okay.
They're actually fundamental human needs.
Wow.
They're literally wired into our brains.
So, we're biologically programmed to connect with others?
In a way, yes.
Okay.
When we experience love, connection, even just simple acts of kindness, our brains release oxytocin.
Oxytocin.
Sometimes called the love hormone.
Right.
And it creates these feelings of trust, bonding, well-being.
So Rumi was really onto something with all that talk about love being this unifying force.
He was.
It's not just poetic, it's literally chemical.
Exactly. Okay.
Okay, so we've got Aristotle and virtue, we've got Rumi and love and connection.
Right.
What about Marcus Aurelius?
Okay.
And all that Stoic stuff. Has science caught up with that yet?
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
One of the most effective therapies for anxiety and depression is called cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT.
Okay, CBT, yeah, I've heard of that.
And guess what? It's actually rooted in Stoic principles.
No way.
Yeah.
So the Stoics were basically doing CBT thousands of years ago.
Pretty much, yeah. CBT focuses on identifying and challenging, those negative thought patterns, focusing on what you can control,
right,
accepting what you can't.
Right.
All core tenets of Stoicism.
That's amazing.
And, all that Stoic talk about mindfulness.
Oh, yeah. Mindfulness is huge right now.
It is, and for good reason.
Yeah.
Mindfulness practices like meditation, focused breathing, they've been shown to, reduce stress, improve focus, help you regulate your emotions, even promote physical healing.
So, science is proving that these ancient techniques actually work.
They do.
I'm mind blown right now.
It's pretty amazing.
It really is, yeah. It's like these two worlds, ancient wisdom and modern science are finally coming together to give us this more complete picture.
Yeah, a more holistic understanding of what it actually means to live a good life.
Okay, that's beautiful. So before we wrap up this amazing deep dive, let's do a quick recap of the key takeaways here.
All right, sounds good.
We started with Aristotle and his emphasis on virtue, balance, living in accordance with our nature.
Right, that idea of eudaimonia.
Eudaimonia.
That deep down happiness.
Then we explored Rumi's, beautiful insights on love, connection, embracing change.
Seeing that opportunity in the midst of challenges.
And finally, we delved into Marcus Aurelius' Stoic principles.
Focusing on what you can control, accepting what you can't, living with intention.
And the crazy thing is that modern science is actually validating so many of these ancient ideas.
It's amazing how much wisdom they really had.
It is, yeah. It's it's not just philosophy anymore. It's they were really onto something.
They were ahead of their time.
Yeah. This has been an incredible journey, but like you said, it's just the beginning.
It is.
We've got this whole toolbox of wisdom to draw from now. So what will you do with it? What resonates with you most from this deep dive?
Yeah, what are you gonna take away and apply in your own life?
That's a great question. It's we've been given these amazing gifts of wisdom.
We have.
And now it's up to us to unwrap them.
Yeah, to open them up and explore.
See how they can really enrich our lives.
Exactly.
All right. Well, this has been an absolutely incredible deep dive, but like all good things, it must come to an end.
It must.
But the exploration continues, right?
Always.
So thanks for joining us, and keep seeking that wisdom wherever you find it.